And at this moment, I started to cry. And I looked at him and I said, this took a lot out of me. And he looked at me and he said,
If you would like to hear the full context of why Christian cried at the Paris-Brest-Paris, please stay tuned to this video as we will explore his experience at the 2023 Paris-Brest-Paris. Once you started the ride,
hmm.
did you have a way of actually pacing yourself? What strategy did you use to pace yourself?
I have no power meters. I've never used power meters. And I just recently started with
Yeah, pulse meter or pulse
pulse
oximeter?
meter. I just ignore it anyway. I just listen to how do I feel? I mean, that's the main thing. I mean, I plan to start slowly, but that's a plan. And as soon as you leave Rambouillet, I mean, people just get mad. They just push their pedals as hard as they can. And I mean, for me, it's virtually impossible to just relax and don't follow the group. So I think the average speed for the first 8, 9 hours was like 30 kilometers per hour. I was a bit afraid that I'm overpacing, but it was just great. It was fun. Okay, if it's fun, then you do it. Maybe you will pay the price later on, but it was okay. I mean, in the early morning hours, I slowly got slower. There was no problem with the first couple of hours riding like really fast train.
Did you ride in a group or did you ride predominantly on your own and just follow wheels?
I tried to follow wheels, but the group was not very stable. So it was always changing. And I tried to follow a wheel that was kind of not too fast. I mean, sometimes people were overtaking, although we were already driving quite fast. I mean, but I tried to ignore them and stay then at around 30 kilometers per hour.
What is your checkpoint experience like, and how did you make it as efficient as possible?
I mean, the first couple of checkpoints, I just needed to get your stamp, water, food. I think it was very well organized. I also liked the quality of the food. It was super easy to get along and get in, get out. So first couple of checkpoints were very short for me. I mean, I I got out maybe within 30 minutes, I think. I did not really, I mean, there's one advice to really use your stopwatch on the phone, just to be aware and to consciously monitor how much time you spend at the controls. But the first couple of controls, that was easy. The controls towards the end, I think I needed more time, and I also needed time to chat and to socialize. And I realized it's a very social event, the whole PvP. That's something I needed. And I was not too keen to efficiently get into the control and then get out again and back onto the bike. That changed over the course of the event. I mean, first night, wow, this was bang in, bang out, and but later on towards the end, I needed time, and I took my time. There were many funny experiences. For instance, there was one chap from Canada, and I mean, we bumped into each other at 2, 3 controls, and also stopped at the same bakery for whatever. It was just coincidence, and we had I mean, jokes, and we were kind of out of breath because we couldn't stop laughing. I don't know why. It was just, I mean, interesting, this coincidence and this bumping into each other and having a great time. And this was super. I had a very good chat with a guy from Japan, and we rode side by side for maybe 2 hours or maybe 90 minutes. Unfortunately, then I lost him somewhere at one of the controls. This was fascinating for me because it was his second PvP attempt, and he did not finish his first one. And it was very traditional Japanese. He kind of excused that he did not make it at the first attempt. And I said to him, I mean, it's great you come here again second attempt and you're doing great, there's no need to excuse for that. I mean, it's a very hard thing. And you travel across the globe to come here to Europe to take part into this. Congrats for trying again and good luck. Another smallish experience. I think it was on the third day. I was in a group that was really pacing hard, and there was one rider. I think he was from the UK. He was riding at the front over an hour or even longer, and he was really pushing it. And I was trying to get behind him. He was slightly too fast for me, but I managed to keep at his wheel. And then we had to stop at a traffic light. And I said to him, thank you for making this pace. And I really enjoy this. And he looked at me and he said, you're the first one to thank me for that. And you're welcome. How do you like the event? So it was great. I mean, because otherwise, normally I feel a bit guilty when I'm just drafting, even if it's fast paced. He was very strong. He was kind of athletic, more athletic than I am, younger as well. But he appreciated that I thanked him for his effort. And he said, well, if you thank me, then feel free, stay behind me as long as you can. And it's all fine. There were some towns that really stood out because they organized food, they organized kind of small camping beds where you could stretch out if you wanted. It was just amazing. I mean, my French is not excellent, but during the event, I was under the impression that my French is super. I was kind of talking to everyone. Normally, I'm a bit shy when it comes to speaking French, but I lost this shyness completely, and I had a great time chatting. For instance, there was one boy, he maybe was 12 or 13 years old, and he was offering water, Coke, Orangina to participants. And I stopped where he stood because he had an umbrella and it was very hot and sunny. So I just stayed there because of the shade. Had water and Coke, and I asked him whether he would like to participate when he's a little bit older. And he looked at me and he said, never. I will never do it. I mean, just look at these people, how exhausted they are. And why should I do this? And I said, well, maybe you will change your mind when you get older. But I think generally you're very right with your observation. And then we made a joke. We observed people approaching us, and we were trying to predict whether they would stop or continue. And when people were really exhausted and looking like they have to stop, we were mostly right. It was really fun. And it felt hard for me to continue because I got on so well with him.
Did your club maybe provide you with some kind of support, like a drop bag facility?
I think the American riders is it Ludiac? They have this drop bag facility, which is very handy, I believe, but the Germans do not have this. I carried everything on my own. I probably had too much in terms of weight. This was a conscious decision for me also not to pre-book a hotel or anything. I thought, let's do it the traditional PvP way. And it's not an unsupported race. I mean, you get these controls with food. For me also not to pre-book a hotel or anything. I thought, let's do it the traditional PvP way. And it's not an unsupported race. I mean, you get these controls with food, you can sleep there. And I think that's sufficient. Personally, if I had the opportunity to ask friends to stay somewhere along the route with a camping car, and I would have rejected it because why? What's the point? I mean, drop bags, that's a different thing. If you can maybe change your jersey and maybe new shoes and socks, that can be kind of convenient. But for me, wasn't necessary. Did not need this. Next time, I would not take my sleeping bag. This was maybe over the top Weather was super, so all the rain gear I did not need. But I mean, hey, you never know. Weather can change in the course of 4 days, so better to have it and not need it. I mean, food, couldn't possibly carry enough food for 4 days. So I was really relying on bakeries and then the food I got at the control. But that was plenty and very good quality, I thought. So I ate a lot. Probably I gained weight over the 4 days.
What kind of bag carrier system did you use?
I did ride on a specialized Ethos, which is a very light carbon frame. Unfortunately, it hasn't got any points to attach bags or panniers. That doesn't work because it's kind of a race bike. But there's a UK manufacturer called Tailfin, which is a carbon frame which you attach to your axle and to your saddle. And it's a bag which is, I think, 15 liters, 20 liters. That's volume. And you can put in up to 8 kilos. I think that's the weight limit. So that was providing plenty of space. So no rucksack, no backpack, and just this tail fin. And I tried this the year before, so it was not the first time I've used it. And I've seen it from many practitioners and participants. And I had tons of spare parts. I even had a spare tire. I think 4 spare tubes, which I did not need. And the spare tire that I carried, I sold it to another randonneur who had a problem with his tire just 50 kilometers before the finish. And so I really got him out of his trouble by selling him the spare tire that I had. I thought, no, I don't need it any longer. I did not use an aero bar. Aero, probably, I've never tried it before. Maybe next time I will give it a try because my fingers got a little bit numb towards the end. And actually my small finger still is a little bit numb. It's getting better, still reminds me of the PvP. And aero bars probably would have been a good way to release pressure from the hands. I had saddle sore in the past, and this time it was not too bad. I think I have to work on it and try another saddle. The cleat position on my shoes, I've changed this recently, and that fascinating. This has improved saddle sore issues. Base layer, that was merino, and I had one long sleeve, one short sleeve, and the long sleeve is quite warm. I think I did not even wear this once because it was so warm. Even during night, it was quite warm. One pair of bib shorts, rain jacket, obviously. My experience this time with my kind of preparation was very good, but next time it could be a problem. So that's also part of this. It's an adventure. It's like an expedition. You have to prepare for different situations, and then it's also a matter of luck, I think, whether you will succeed and whether it will all be fine or whether it will be a real challenge. I mean, in my case, I think I was extremely lucky as well. Although I was prepared, it's also this extra portion of luck. And I took quite a lot of dates. It was almost like 1 kilo, I think. They were nearly gone when I arrived in Rambouillet.
Coming into Rambouillet and going to the tent to get your final stamp into your brevet, how did that feel to you?
It was a French guy who stamped my card. He asked me right away whether I will attend the next PvP. And at this moment, I started to cry. And I looked at him and I said, this took a lot out of me. And he looked at me and he nodded and said, yes, I can imagine this. But then I also said it was great and I feel very, very grateful for this experience. But I was also kind of connected to a very deep part within myself, which I've probably never touched or I've never been there. So this was a very specific, like magical moment for a split second. but I still can connect to this. And I think overall the PvP experience has changed something slightly within myself, but it's hard to describe. It's getting into some kind of esoterical space, maybe. It's something I knew beforehand that this would happen. And kind of, I knew from the very beginning that I would be able to do this. This was already there for me. At this very moment, I was not so sure. I was like, ooh, do it again, go through this again. So, but it changed quickly. After a couple of days, I was feeling like there's not even a question for sure. If I'm fit, if I'm healthy, if I have the time, and if the situation allows it, then for sure I will do it again. Yeah. And that's
Wonderful.
mainly due to this social aspect of it, the community, the fellow riders, and the people in France, and the overall package. It's not just this performance aspect. I think that's the least important for me. Just registered for the London Edinburgh London, which will be in 2025. If my application will be accepted, I'm quite confident that I will attempt to do it. A shout out to Axel. The original plan was for Axel and myself to do the PvP together. But then he decided not to do it because of his health, which was kind of sad for me. I mean, without Axel, I probably wouldn't have done it. So shout out to Axel and thank you for your support and being a friend.
I want to say thank you so much for giving up your time to be able to participate in this interview. I want to wish you all the best for LEL. We just received our entrance confirmation, so we are going to be there. I really hope that we can actually get together and have a beer before the event.
That would be super exciting. I want to thank you as well for inviting me to this interview. It has been a pleasure. Yeah, hope to see you somewhere in the near future.
Once again, thank you to Christian for participating in this video. Remember, if you've liked this video, please press that like button. And if you would like to see more of this type of video in the future, please subscribe to this channel. Until the next time we meet, please ride safely.